Okay, welcome back everyone to DRS Zone. So, 20 races, done, only 4 left, plus the 2 sprints, right? And the State of the World Championship.
Ah.
Wow, it's just completely reset itself, like seismically. It's absolutely wild.
You are not kidding. We flew into Mexico thinking, Max Verstappen would just keep marching on towards that title, business as usual.
Yeah, another win banked.
Exactly. But when all the dust settled, we're basically back at square one. The gap, first and second place in the championship, it's now just 1 single point.
1 point. It's madness. And look behind them, too. The gap to third place, that shrunk down to only 36 points. I mean, sometimes Formula One feels like science fiction, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But Mexico, that was just full of genuine mysteries, real head-scratchers.
And that's kind of our mission for this deep dive, really. We need to try and unpack the stuff that was, well, hardest to understand from the weekend.
Okay.
We got to focus on 2 huge things. Why Max Verstappen's pace just imploded suddenly, and also where this aggressive, almost shocking new confidence came from for Lando Norris.
Right, let's dig in, starting with Mexico itself. The Mexican anomaly, let's call it. We have to get our heads around the environment first, because Mexico City, it's just unique. And it really set the stage for, well, total technical chaos.
It is genuinely exceptional. You're racing at 2,200 meters altitude. That's nearly 7,300 feet.
Wow.
And that thin air. It fundamentally changes how every single car behaves. It forces 2 massive compromises on the teams. First, you get way less aerodynamic grip, even with maximum downforce wings bolted on.
So it's like trying to grip the air, but there's less air to grip?
Precisely. It means teams have to run what is effectively the lowest aerodynamic load setup of the entire year, even if the wings look huge.
Driving on ice, basically.
Feels like it, yeah. And the second thing, equally critical, cooling. Oh boy, the cooling crisis.
Yeah, the thin air again.
Exactly. Less air means less efficient cooling for the engine, the hybrid systems, the brakes, everything. So teams have to open up all their cooling ducts, make them bigger.
Which messes with the aerodynamics even more, right?
Yeah.
Creates drag.
Totally. It's a massive compromise, and it dictates so much about how the cars perform there.
And this is exactly where Max Verstappen, who'd been just, relentlessly dominant all season, suddenly started struggling. Massively. Qualifying, race pace, the trend just stopped.
It really did. And we've got kind of 2 competing theories floating around in our source material about what exactly went wrong for Red Bull. They offer slightly different answers.
Okay, let's hear them. What's theory number 1?
So the first one, put forward more by rivals, actually, like McLaren's Andrea Stella.
Yeah.
It focuses entirely on that cooling issue we just talked about.
Right.
Their analysis suggests Red Bull had to, open up the car much more than their competitors, maybe even more than McLaren themselves, to meet the really extreme cooling demands of their power unit.
Ah, okay, so that necessary compromise, opening things up, it just killed their aero efficiency, cost them on the straights.
That's the thinking.
Right.
They essentially had to trade raw speed for engine survival, figuring they couldn't run their usual tight, efficient bodywork in those conditions.
Makes sense. But Red Bull, they had their own explanation, didn't they?
Yeah.
A bit less convenient.
They did. Dr. Helmut Marko suggested the issue was, maybe simpler, but just as damaging. They basically miscalculated the car's ride height, the rake.
Wait, ride height? A team like Red Bull messing that up? How?
Well, Marko pointed out that during Q2 and Q3, particularly in those fast-linked corners, Max's car was hitting the ground. Severe bottoming, he called it.
Okay.
The floor hitting the track surface, which, drastically unsettles the car, kills your speed through the really important fast sections.
But still, ride height. With all their simulations and experience, how does that happen at Mexico specifically?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the answer probably lies back with the altitude. At 2,200 meters, the forces in the car are just so different. Tiny setup errors get amplified hugely.
So what works perfectly in the simulator at sea level just doesn't translate when the air density drops that much.
Exactly. They probably push the setup too aggressively, looking for that last tiny bit of performance and just overstep the mark, went too low.
What's kind of fascinating, though, is even with these massive issues, whether it was cooling or bottoming out this big change in trend, Max still finished third.
Yeah, he did.
And he might have even grabbed second if it wasn't for that slightly weird virtual safety car later on. So the struggle was real, absolutely. But he definitely minimized the damage.
He really salvaged his weekend, didn't he? It wasn't the complete implosion some rivals might have been hoping for. Kept his head, still took decent points.
Yeah, kept Lando behind him in the final standings, crucially.
True. But okay, let's flip the coin. Because if Max was struggling, Lando Norris. He seemed to be operating on a completely different planet.
Oh, he was beyond dominant. That result was extraordinary. Finished, what, 30 seconds ahead of the next car? Just staggering.
Yeah.
His qualifying was solid, but his race aggression.
Yeah.
Wow. And actually, if you're watching this on YouTube, welcome to DRS Zone. Don't forget to subscribe for more F1 deep dives like this, because seeing the onboard, seeing Lando's aggression, it really helps understand what we're talking about here.
It really does. And Lando's performance, predictably, kicked off a whole load of online speculation. We saw these huge conspiracy theories flying around.
Yeah, the McLaren slowed down Piastri stuff.
That's the one. Idea that maybe they deliberately held back Oscar's car to help Lando in this super tight championship fight.
Was there anything to it? Did the data show Piastri running like a detuned engine or something?
Not a shred of evidence. We looked right into the source material analysis, and the data is clear. Norris and Piastri had exactly the same straight-line speeds, identical top speeds.
So the car wasn't slower for Oscar. End of story.
End of story. That massive time difference that built up almost 4/10 in qualifying alone, it came down entirely to the driver. Confidence and approach.
Okay, so break it down. What was Lando actually doing differently behind the wheel? What was the measurable thing?
He just showed this new, almost visceral level of aggression in how he attacked the circuit. We saw him consistently nailing the curve vertices, the apex points, and really riding over the curbs with massive confidence.
Which Piastri wasn't doing quite as much.
Exactly. And on a low aero track like Mexico, you have to use every single millimeter, including those curbs, to keep your minimum speed up through the corners. Lando is just finding tiny bits of time, corner after corner after corner.
Adding up to that huge pole margin even before Piastri got his penalty.
Yep. Piastri eventually started P7 because SAINZ had a penalty too, but Lando's raw pace advantage was already substantial.
That aggression, it really signals a fundamental shift in Lando's whole attitude, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Showing the kind of, I don't know, body language that seemed missing in some high-pressure moments earlier this year.
The metamorphosis seems complete. Yeah, he looks like a different driver in those crucial moments now. But okay, why was Piastri struggling so much in Mexico? He's usually incredibly fast.
Well, Andrea Stella, his team boss, gave a pretty clear explanation. For Oscar, it was a mix of things. One, just less F1 experience overall, and two, specifically, the track conditions in Mexico. That really slippery track surface, notoriously low-grip asphalt.
Ah, and low grip. That starts a horrible downward spiral in F1.
Totally. When you start sliding on that kind of surface, the tires overheat really quickly.
And the hotter the tires get?
The more you slide, and the problem just gets worse and worse. It's a vicious cycle. Stella basically said Norris is just far more comfortable managing the car right on that knife edge in those tricky, low-grip, high-altitude conditions, at least right now.
Makes sense. Which brings us to the stakes for the McLaren drivers now. I mean, they are properly in a title fight against each other.
It's incredible.
It is, and the pressure dynamic is fascinating. Piastri, he's the young rookie, already massively exceeding expectations. You could argue he can sort of more afford not to win the title this year psychologically.
Whereas for Lando?
For Lando Norris. After coming close before, it would be much, much tougher for him to lose the championship again. Especially losing it not to Max, but to his own teammate, the rookie. That internal pressure must be immense.
Yeah, the dynamic inside that team boiling over is right. And speaking of things heating up, the constructors' battle is also getting incredibly close. Ferrari seem to have a decent grip on P2 now.
For now.
But the pressure from behind is huge. Look at the gap between Ferrari, Mercedes, and Red Bull back in P4. It's razor thin. Only 10 points separating Ferrari in P2 and Red Bull down in P4.
It's unbelievably tight, and we have to point out that extreme imbalance within Red Bull's points, nearly 90%. 9-0 of Red Bull's constructors' points have come solely from Max Verstappen.
That's just mind-boggling. Shows the pressure on Perez, really.
Absolutely enormous pressure.
Mercedes, meanwhile, kind of mixed fortunes again. Lewis Hamilton had his best qualifying of the season, looked really strong.
He did, yeah. It looked like the old Lewis for a bit.
But the race just fell apart. That's early touch with Max going onto the grass.
Right.
Then the 10-second penalty. But what really stood out was his mood after the race.
His comments were really surprising, weren't they? When asked about the last few races, he basically said he didn't see himself fighting for victories or podiums anymore.
Which is
wow.
From a 7-time champ.
Yeah.
Especially when his teammate, George Russell, had just scored 2 podiums in a row before Mexico.
Exactly. It felt quite defeatist almost. Suggests maybe a deeper disconnect or frustration with where the car is right now, perhaps. Very unusual to hear that from him.
Definitely something to watch. Okay, away from the front runners. If Max and Lando were the stars, maybe Oliver Beerman was the unexpected dark horse of the weekend.
Oh, absolutely. Beerman's drive for Haas was genuinely one of the biggest surprises. He really capitalized on that early race chaos, kept it clean, and just drove a fantastic race.
Right at home in P8, right? Career best F1 result for him. Even better than when he subbed for Ferrari in Saudi.
Yep, better than Jeddah. He had pace, he showed composure. Really impressive stuff in that Haas.
And that P8 finish is massive for Haas and the constructors, isn't it? Puts them ahead of Sauber now, pushing Aston Martin. That midfield battle for the prize money is incredibly intense. Every point counts millions.
Huge result for them. Meanwhile, spare thought for the Spanish drivers. Both had weekends plagued by terrible luck.
Yeah. Fernando Alonso.
Yeah.
Another DNF for Aston Martin. Reliability issues again. Overheated brakes this time.
Yep, his 4th reliability DNF this season. Just brutal. But even with all that, he still maintains that crushing 33.00 qualifying record against Stroll. Just utterly dominant on Saturdays.
And Carlos Sainz. Started okay in qualifying. He's actually 7-0 against Albon in recent qualis, which is strong.
He's been quick, yeah.
But then it all went wrong. He had that grid penalty carrying over from the USGP first off.
Right, the engine penalty.
Then an opening lap touch broke a rim sensor, apparently.
Yeah, some vital sensor damaged early on.
Yeah.
And then he got hit with multiple pit lane penalties because of a technical failure.
This was the really weird one. His pit lane speed control system failed. The teens call it PILEN, Pit Lane Enforcement Limit Control.
But that's the one. The system that automatically limits the car to 80 kilometers in the pit lane failed, so he couldn't safely stick to the limit.
Which got him a 5-second penalty? And then another penalty.
Yep, a drive-through penalty later, because the failure was ongoing or compounded. Basically, everything that could go wrong mechanically with that system did go wrong, ruined his race completely through escalating penalties. Just rotten luck.
Okay, lastly, we have to touch on the race controversies around safety. That virtual safety car. It felt a bit much to a lot of fans watching. What was the official line?
The FIA's explanation was that it came down to a report from the trackside marshals. They reported fire.
Fire. Was there actually fire? It looked more like smoke from brakes.
Exactly. In reality, it seems it was intense brake overheating, generating massive amounts of smoke, but probably no actual flames. However, race control received the report fire, and protocol dictates.
If there's fire reported, you need people on track.
Precisely. Personnel needed to enter the track area to assess and manage the supposed fire, which requires a full safety slowdown. So they triggered the VSC based on that initial, possibly mistaken report.
Okay, understandable if that was the report. But the really scary moment was later. Marshals being sent onto the track while cars were still coming.
That moment,
Nice
yeah.
out.
2 marshals sent out to grab debris while Liam Lawson was approaching. He was out of sync with the main pack after a pit stop.
Terrifying.
Our sources described it as a huge crack in the concepts of safety. Just shouldn't happen. Thankfully, Lawson saw the yellow flags, reacted instantly, slowed right down.
Averted disaster.
He really did. Prevented what could have been a very serious tragedy, but it highlights a massive lapse in coordination. Needs a serious review, globally.
Wow. Despite all that chaos, the controversies, the mechanical dramas, the World Championship picture is now just beautiful.
Yeah.
And crazy. Heading into the final few races with maximum tension.
Couldn't script it better, could you? Max did brilliantly to minimize the damage in Mexico, but the key thing is his 2 main rivals are now taking points off each other.
McLaren versus McLaren. Only 1 point between them.
It's absolute perfection for the neutral fan and for McLaren. They have no choice now, surely. They have to let them race. No more Papa rules from the pit wall.
Let them fight it out.
Exactly. And that internal battle, that's exactly what Max Verstappen needs, isn't it? While they're focused on each other.
He could sneak through. Okay, next stop. Brazil. Interlagos. A proper, old-school technical track. And the weather. Always plays a part there, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Rain, sunshine, chaos. It's usually guaranteed in Brazil. This championship reset tees it up perfectly.
Which leads us nicely to our final provocative thought for you to chew on. With the 2 McLaren drivers now inevitably going wheel to wheel, likely taking points from each other, could Max Verstappen, despite his Mexico struggles, actually pull off a Kimi Raikkonen 2007 style move?
The ultimate stealth championship.
Yeah. Could he slip through while the McLarens battle internally and somehow steal the title right at the very end?
Stranger things have happened in F1. It's definitely something to think about.
Only time will tell. That is it for this deep dive into the madness of the Mexican Grand Prix. Please don't forget to subscribe and follow the DRS-owned podcast for all the F1 analysis as this incredible championship battle rockets towards the finish line.